Hello and welcome back to the Wrestling Group. I'm your host as always, Ryan, and today we are going to be doing the top 10 worst WrestleMania matches in history. This one I've done as just for a bit of fun. I'm going to at some point obviously do the best matches, but I thought, you know what, it's one thing I haven't actually done yet as part of a rankings video is done worst matches. So I thought, why not start it with WrestleMania, seeing so it is WrestleMania season. And to be honest with you, when I was going through and I was looking at all the terrible matches that have been over the years, and I was looking at each of the WrestleMania match cards, I realised that there's been minimum, and I mean minimum, one bad match per WrestleMania. I don't think there's been a single WrestleMania that hasn't had at least one terrible match. So if you think about it, we're on WrestleMania 40 next weekend. So that's 39, straight off the bat, 39 terrible matches to look at. Then there's some WrestleManias that have more than one. So, I mean, to be honest, like I say, it's all for a bit of fun. I really enjoyed looking through these. And I just thought it'd be something different that we haven't done as a channel, and it'll be something fun for you to then comment on and give me your feedback on what you think are the top 10 worst matches in WrestleMania history. So we will start as always at number 10 and I rock down to number 1, and I will tell you what is the worst match in WrestleMania history. So we'll start at number 10. So number 10 is Kane versus the Great Khali at WrestleMania 23. Now let's be honest, the Great Khali was an absolute terrible wrestler. Just awful. And not even the big red machine could pull a decent match out of him. And Khali wins as well. Like, they really wanted to do something with Khali. You know, he's a big, massive guy, big dude, and you know what Vince is like for people above 6'4", he thinks they're great. You know, this dude was a world champion at one point as well, and he was just goddamn awful. And putting him with Kane as well, sometimes you put two big guys in the ring together and it works out well. Look at Kane and The Undertaker, for instance, but this just was crap. So it's got to make the mark, and it comes in as number 10. So we'll move on to two more big guys in number 9 as The Undertaker faces the Giant Gonzalez at WrestleMania 9. And probably the worst WrestleMania in history, let's be honest. The dead man faced off against the underwhelming Gonzalez. This was just utter garbage. I mean, when you talk about big guys that can't wrestle and literally have no business being in a wrestling ring, let alone at WrestleMania, which is deemed obviously the show of shows, the greatest show of the year in terms of wrestling. You know, you talk Khali, then you talk of Gonzalez in the same breath. It's exactly the same situation. It's just this one is slightly worse than the other one for the simple fact of the crappy DQ finish that they had. It was terrible. And to think The Undertaker has had some absolute phenomenal matches at WrestleMania, but if you go back where he went right at the beginning, they weren't good. So we'll come in now at number 8, and I've gone for Daniel Bryan versus Sheamus for the World Heavyweight Championship at WrestleMania 28. Now, these two actually faced on WrestleMania 27 the year before. I think it was the United States Championship in a lumberjack match, which ended up getting bumped to the pre-show. Got about 4 minutes. It was not great by any means. It was a poor match. So a lot of fans were then hyped to think, well, you know, Sheamus won the Royal Rumble. Daniel Bryan's been doing some decent things as world champ. You know, at least we're going to get a better match than the year before. You know, it should be good. Finally get to see them go in the ring and see what it's all about. No. That never happened at all. The bell goes. Then Daniel Bryan decides to kiss AJ Lee for some reason. Turns round. Bro kick. 1, 2, 3. 18 seconds for a world championship. Talk about crapping on your world title. 18-second match. for the World Heavyweight Championship is just absolutely awful. We know Sheamus can go, like he says himself. He has banger after banger after banger matches. We know Danielson can go, or Daniel Bryan, sorry. We know he can go. He's one of the best technically gifted wrestlers. And we get 18 seconds for a world title at WrestleMania. So it's no shock that that had to come in the top 10. And some matches that are short have not actually made the list because there's worse matches, believe it or not, than like 13-second Chavo versus Kane match. So in at number 7, we have the Miss WrestleMania Battle Royal at WrestleMania 25. Oh my God. So this idea actually seems to be good intentions. It was give a battle royal for the women. A lot of them that weren't actually on the card. Give them a chance, show what they can do. Similar to what they started doing with the Andre Battle Royal a couple of years back, which then it got bumped to the pre-show and then bumped to the SmackDown beforehand for some reason. You might as well just scrap it at this point. But it was good intentions. Get these women wrestlers onto WrestleMania, give them a taste of it. A lot of them hadn't been at WrestleMania before or hadn't been in a couple of years. The outcome was Santino Marella dressed in drag becoming Miss WrestleMania. Oh my God. What were you thinking? What a terrible idea. So it starts with good intentions. Let's get these women wrestlers, give them a chance to show what they can do, blah, blah, blah. Oh, well, by the way, we're going to have a fellow in it. That just literally defeats the whole purpose of life. Everything. And it's on our number 7. Excuse me. WrestleMania crap list, if you will. So we'll go on to number 6. I mean, most of these I'm going to fly through. It's going to be a short video. I didn't want to do a long one for this. And for the simple fact is a lot of them don't last longer than a couple of minutes anyway. Number 6 is Bret Hart versus Vince McMahon in a no-holds-barred match at WrestleMania 26. So Bret being actually involved in a worse match list does seem a bit mad. It seems a bit strange. But let's be honest, his whole 2010 return run was embarrassing. It was awful. He couldn't do a lot in the ring. They decided they were going to bring him back. They were going to stick the United States Championship on him. Miz tried to carry him to a half-decent match. It wasn't half-decent. It was dire. He's then US champion for some unknown reason. Then he goes against Vince McMahon because, you know, when Bret left the company back in, what was it, 1997, they had issues. Okay, but it's now 2010, 11. Who cares? Literally no one. That's who. No one. So I think what Vince wanted to obviously do was replicate the match that he had with Hulk Hogan at WrestleMania 19. This was a far cry from that. That was at least decent, entertaining. You know, we had some good spots. This, however, was not. It was terrible. So it comes in at number 6. In at number 5, on the worst matches of WrestleMania, we have Michael Cole versus Jerry Lawler and Stone Cold Steve Austin being the special guest referee at WrestleMania 27. I ask one question. Seriously, who the hell wanted this match? Who wants to see two commentators go at it? Absolutely no one. No one wants to watch two wrestlers go at it. Two commentators wrestle. No one wants to see them take up a spot at WrestleMania. They could have done this on an episode of Raw. No one would have cared on Raw, the same as no one cares on WrestleMania. Let's add in Stone Cold to try and make people care. So they knew the match would be poor. They knew that no one would want to watch it. So they're going to throw Stone Cold in there to try and get people then to tune in and watch. The reality, not even Stone Cold Steve Austin can save a disaster of a match. And by the way, how did this match end up lasting 13 minutes? 13 minutes of hot garbage. And we had Jack Swagger at ringside for some reason for Michael Cole, who tries to throw in the towel and Stone Cold goes, no. Okay, what? It was pure, absolute garbage. But there's 4 more matches that are worse. So we have number 4. Pat McAfee versus Vince McMahon at WrestleMania 38. So, after Pat McAfee defeats Austin Theory with Vince McMahon in his corner, the chairman then decides on an impromptu match against Pat, resulting in an absolute terrible match. Like, Vince was never a wrestler. At least in the days of the 90s where he was facing Stone Cold, the storyline was good enough that people sort of turned a blind eye to the fact that he couldn't wrestle. Most of the time he got beat up on and then did something like ridiculous to be able to score a win. Like, WrestleMania 38, this is 2 years ago, no one cared. No one cared about Vince McMahon. No one wants to see him in a ring. No one wants to see him beat a commentator. It was terrible. But it happened, and there's 3 worse matches than that. So, what are our top 3 terrible matches? Top 3 worst WrestleMania matches in history? Well, number 3 is The Big Show versus Akebono in a sumo match at WrestleMania 21. Now, if you're not old enough to remember Akebono in the WWE, or even if you are and you've forgotten about it, I apologise, because it was crap. Big Show has never had a great match at WrestleMania. In fact, he's never had a decent match at WrestleMania. I mean, we all remember the other car crash of a match with Floyd Mayweather. That was a bit of a mess too. Nowhere near as bad as this though. But he's never even had a decent match at WrestleMania. But oh my god, what the hell was this? A sumo wrestling match that no one wanted, that they built up for some unknown reason. They then start the match, it lasts 2-3 minutes, and gives us one of the worst visuals in the history of WrestleMania of Big Show in a sumo nappy. Oh my god, this was just terrible. And I really, really suggest that you do not go back and watch it. I think I've literally watched this match once, and it was live when it was on at the time. And for some reason, I didn't use this as my toilet break match. And it burnt my eyes. And it's been stuck in my mind ever since. And I've never gone back and watched it, and I never shall do so. But it's definitely the 3rd worst match at WrestleMania. So that means there's 2 worse. So what's worse than that? Well, in at number 2, we have The Miz versus Snoop Dogg at WrestleMania 39, last year's Mania. So WWE, for some reason, decided last year that they were going to bury The Miz. I don't know why. They just decided that they were going to bury him. So they make him host a WrestleMania instead of giving him a match. Then he loses on night 1 of WrestleMania. Then he has another impromptu match on WrestleMania night 2 against the returning Shane McMahon, who gets in the ring, pulls a hamstring, and goes on the floor and does the dying fly. He was terrible. Snoop Dogg, who is now the co-host of WrestleMania with The Miz, then decides, I know, I'm going to punch Miz in the face. I'm going to do the worst people's elbow in the history of wrestling, pin him, and beat him. Right, okay, so it was never a match to begin with. Shane McMahon comes down. Shane's supposed to then be his impromptu opponent, who injures himself. Snoop Dogg then decides, right, okay, I'm in this match that doesn't exist now. Snoop then beats The Miz in, terribly quick fashion in an awful impromptu match. The cameraman is zooming in as close as he can because Shane McMahon's still lying on the wrestling mat being attended to. And it just ends up being one of the biggest cluster Fs in the history of wrestling. It was terrible. The fact that Snoop Dogg had a match at WrestleMania, the fact that Snoop Dogg won a match and he went over The Miz at WrestleMania, all the while Shane McMahon is dying in the corner of the ring, is just absolute shocking. But it gets worse than that. We have one more match at WrestleMania that is worse than Shane McMahon falling over and Snoop Dogg beating The Miz. So let's run through, as we always do, from 10 back down until we give you the worst match in WrestleMania history. So in at number 10, we have Kane versus the Great Khali at WrestleMania 23. At number 9, we have The Undertaker versus Giant Gonzalez at WrestleMania 9. And at number 8, we have Daniel Bryan versus Sheamus for the World Heavyweight Championship, the 18-second match at WrestleMania 28. Number 7, we have Miss WrestleMania Battle Royal, which was won by a man, at WrestleMania 25. Number 6, we have the returning Bret Hart versus Vince McMahon in the no-holds-barred match at WrestleMania 26. In at number 5 is the Battle of the Commentators between Michael Cole and Jerry Lawler, with Stone Cold being a special guest referee and for some reason Jack Swagger being ringside at WrestleMania 27. WrestleMania 4 was an impromptu match between Pat McAfee versus Vince McMahon at WrestleMania 38. Number 3 was Big Show's debut in sumo wrestling against Akebono at WrestleMania 21. In at number 2 was The Miz versus Snoop Dogg at last year's WrestleMania in another impromptu match. So what could be the worst ever match in WrestleMania history? Is it Ryback versus Mark Henry? No, but that did just miss the list. Is it The Rock versus Eric Rowan in a 13-second match? No, that also just missed the list. Like I say, this list could have been so much more than 10. Number 1, the worst match in WrestleMania history, and if you don't agree with me, feel free to leave a comment and I'll tell you how you're wrong. Let me know. Hulk Hogan versus Yokozuna for the WWF title at WrestleMania 9. Probably the worst ending to a WrestleMania in history. Hulk Hogan returns, loses a tag match earlier in the night. After the planned and advertised main event concluded with Yokozuna beating Bret Hart for the WWF Championship, Hulk Hogan starts to enter the ring. He walks down the ramp, goes to Bret Hart. "Hi Bret, are you okay?" "Yes, okay." "Hey Yokozuna, that's not fair. I'm going to face you now." Yokozuna, "Oh, okay, let's do it." Bing, 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 boom, boom, leg drop, 1, 2, 3, champion, new champion, 22 seconds. What the absolute happened there? Seriously. What? This is your main event of the biggest show of the year. You have Bret Hart losing the belt to Yokozuna. Okay, fair enough. Hulk Hogan's return, you've made a big thing about him returning. He then loses a tag match. He then comes out to check on Bret Hart for some unknown reason. He then decides that he wants a match against the new champion. The champion, for some reason, agrees. They then do a quick match that Hogan then squashes Yokozuna, who's like 750 pounds or whatever, squashes him in 22 seconds flat to become champion. Why? We don't know. We don't know why this happened. Because he's Hulk Hogan, I suppose, and Hulk Hogan wants to be champion, and let's give him the belt because he wants to be champion. That is literally there. They never give us a storyline for it. 30, what are we on now? 30 years, because we had 39 last year, so 30 years later, and no one still knows why this happened. Just because Hulk Hogan wanted to be WWF champion again. Yes, but for a company that relies so much on storylines, and, you know, what's the story, as all the WWE fans say, what the hell was the story here? Just Hogan likes that belt and he wants it, and that's it. It doesn't matter. He wasn't booked in the main event. This is the closing match. This is the last thing fans remember about the people. Doesn't matter anything that's happened before. Your main event has to hit. If your main event doesn't hit, you're not going to go home happy. How the hell was this allowed at WrestleMania? Hulk Hogan just going, "Give me the belts," and them going, "Okay." Oh my god. So that is the worst match in WrestleMania history. And yes, you probably could argue the point that Miz and Snoop Dogg or Big Show and Akebono could have gone over Hulk Hogan and Yokozuna, because at least it was Hulk Hogan. But it was for the only world championship in the company at the time. Yokozuna had only just won the belt, then decides, yes, I'm going to defend it, even though he's a heel and he could just turn around and go, nah. If they wanted to put Hulk Hogan in a match at the end of the night and challenge for the belt, why not put him in a match early in the night in singles competition as a number one contendership match? So it's like he can challenge for the title at any opportunity. And then he comes out and he goes, you know what, I'm not waiting to the next pay-per-view, let's do it now. Okay, fair enough, a little bit of storyline. This is the world title, the biggest belt on the biggest pay-per-view of the year, and you just crap all over it. Bear in mind, craps on Bret Hart as well, craps on Yokozuna, the WF title, the pay-per-view. It was garbage. Like I say, there's 2 matches here alone from WrestleMania 9. I'm pretty sure if I'd gone through it with a fine-tooth comb, there'd probably been more in. But I couldn't not put Vince McMahon in twice. So there you have it. Like I say, it's just a bit of fun. I really enjoyed doing this one. So let me know in the comment section. Do you agree or disagree? Is there any in here that you don't think are as bad as what I think they are? Is there any matches that you think are worse than these 10? Or is there any orders that you want to be changed? You know, do you think that, I don't know, the Miss WrestleMania Battle Royal actually wasn't as bad as Kane versus the Great Khali? Who knows? Let me know. I want to know. I love feedback. I love a bit of back and forth discussion. So let me know in the comments. As always, like, comment, subscribe to my YouTube channel. Let all your friends and family know that Watch Wrestling, that the Wrestling Group is the channel for them. So, as always, thank you for watching. And be sure, stay tuned for more wrestling related content coming your way very, very soon. Especially as we now get into WrestleMania season.